welcome back to the Beast Game Podcast. This is going to be a review for What Happened to Monday. It's directed by Tommy Wirkola. The writers are Max Boynton and Kerry Williamson. It stars Noomi Rapace, Glenn Close, and Willem Dafoe. The synopsis is, in a world where families are limited to one child due to overpopulation, a set of identical septuplets must avoid being put to sleep by the government and dangerous infighting while investigating the disappearance of one of their own. This kind of takes place in the future. I want to say it was like 2083, something like that?
2073.
2073. As the synopsis stated, that there's a population explosion, and then they do something to genetically modify crops that causes a rise in births in order to control the population. Just like some countries have instituted, they have a one-child act. A mother winds up having 7 kids, and Willem Dafoe is responsible for hiding them from the government, and they grow up to be adults. And Keith, what did you think of What Happened to Monday?
For the most part, I enjoyed it. Taken for what it was, I thought it was an enjoyable film, but I kind of felt like it was a film that had been done. If you ever watched the TV show called Orphan Black, that kind of felt like it was a theatrical response to that. The best thing about this movie is Noomi Rapace. Her acting in this was beyond superb. There were a few things that they did because of budgetary reasons and time constraints that were just major plot holes. But the movie plays out pretty well, and like the mystery of trying to uncover what happened to the one sibling was pretty interesting. So, but for the most part, the best reason to go see this is to watch Noomi Rapace.
All right, James.
I like this movie. I liked it for the simple fact that it threw me off because I was expecting one type of movie, and then I got at least 3 different genres in one movie. It was a fun movie. The acting of Noomi Rapace, hey, Keith, you're and I on the same page, man. She did a great job. I mean, she conveyed different emotions for each character.
Yeah,
and they have to interact. She did a great job. This actually made me a fan of her. I mean, I knew about her, but she wasn't really on my radar. But this movie made me want to check out her filmography. I actually thought it was going to be like a psychological thriller for some reason. And then it turned into a psychological thriller, then to a sci-fi movie, and then to like somewhat an action chase movie. Some parts of it was predictable. Not too much, but I enjoyed it. I do have one thing to say. Like, what's going on with the old chicks from back in the day, like Glenn Close and Sigourney Weaver playing villains? Is there a new movement that I'm not aware of?
Yeah, it did seem a little redundant coming off of The Defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, I enjoyed the movie.
So when I saw this, I started thinking about The Social Network, because it was the Winklevosses. It was one actor playing 2 characters, playing twins. As you guys stated, Noomi Rapace's performance in this, where she's playing 7 different characters, and sometimes they're occupying the screen at the same time. Just the ability to channel the differences between each character is something that people that act well can do. I really like that aspect. I liked some of the sci-fi portions of it. There was some implausible situations that happened. And I know, Keith, you mentioned there were some plot holes. I think I know where you're going to go. It works and does not at the same time.
I mean, once you employ common sense, it kind of like, why didn't they just do this earlier?
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page.
I mean, I understand why they did it for film reason, but they should have explained it a little bit better. The obvious plot hole is that doctors today and for the last 30, 40 years have been able to terminate individual fetuses. Why are they doing it this way? Their big solution was to cryogenically freeze children, and no one kind of picked up. That
didn't make sense. See, that was the plot hole there. And another thing that didn't make sense, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but even though they're twins, they would have different DNA.
They're saying their fingerprints will be different.
Okay, fingerprints would be different. That wristband or whatever that was.
Their height, their weight, the way they carry themselves would all be different as well, because all that stuff's life changes, but they would effectively be the carbon copy.
Virtually the same. Okay, yeah. I get that.
Their father created individual braces for them that be linked to the same person. But each one was like linked to it and stuff. It was the movie's way of getting around the obvious biometric scan that they would fail.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because they use like an eye scanner and the bracelets to control where people go. And
yeah, the eye scanner would be bullshit. So
one of my issues is as the movie progresses and they know who they're looking for, and the different sisters are moving between areas freely,
Mm-hmm.
and the government is looking for them, knowing when they're going to go. And it just keeps happening for the
Yeah, I
duration of
told
the
you, one
movie.
big chase scene.
Each one of them leaves on their day.
Yeah, so all the
And
sisters are named Monday through Saturday. Go ahead.
so basically each one leaves and each one something happens to them. And the focus is just on that, which is clever. But as each one leaves, they effectively run into, get chased around and stuff like that happens. But thing is though, is that the bad guys knew where they were. So why the hell didn't they just
Pretty
Just
much.
storm the house.
and then why didn't they just leave? Like why didn't their contingency plan include relocating their everything to a different location or
Right.
separating with different identities since they
They sure
obviously
said-
had the means to do it?
They sure as hell didn't have a
Yeah.
plan B. They,
And-
they just had everything hunkered down at the house. They didn't have like a quiet room or an escape plan or anything. It was just all just there. They didn't think about the future possibility of them being caught.
Two of my biggest issues with this movie is the one sister that is the hacker. That is something that happens in a lot of movies where someone can just hack into anything, and she's hacking into the government. So if you can hack into the government, why can't you just give yourself a different identity?
Right.
She was only tracking their braces and their movements. They basically hooked up with that one dude kind of when they had the idea to hack into Child Authority Bureau, whatever it's called. You know,
Yeah, I think
it was
called
only until the
CAB.
opportunity presented itself that she kind of pegged on that idea. But no, I agree with you saying that. And the biggest thing is that their one identity works at a bank. All that money and resources, she could easily set up an account and then fake the information for that. Financial information is one of the inroads into that. You fake a credit report, then you go back into that and say, hey, well, this person has a credit report. That's inroads into everything. So to James's point, why didn't they just create different identities for all of them? There was that overhanging idea that everything that they were doing with the siblings was temporary, which led to another plot hole. If they were telling everyone that, hey, this is only temporary, you're going to keep your kid on ice for 30 years?
Exactly.
I can't imagine any parent, even bad parents who never see their kids again, are going to want to sit back and wonder, I want my son back.
Well, isn't that something similar to the Maze Runner?
No, Maze Runner is something different.
Weren't they putting them in stasis?
Whatever that virus was fucking everybody up. I mean, the kids were kept on suspension, but they were eventually tossed out and tossed into the Scorch trials and stuff, or the maze and stuff. So,
Well, I also have some issues with Glenn Close because there was a point that she's supposed to be the main villain, but then she starts questioning her own motives, where she's like, well, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing.
Exactly. It'd be like, the children aren't being hurt, right? Correct? Can you not see the mothers get incinerated? Like, what are you talking about? What you mean they're not being hurt? And then you know what? This also made me think of one other thing. Demolition of motherfucking Man.
That's been in the back of my mind.
That would be where it is.
Yeah.
But hold on. Listen to me here. Okay. Even in Demolition Man, when they had criminals locked up, well, frozen, their families could come see them just as a block of ice and shit. You know what I'm saying? So no one's parents that decide to send their kids here to get cryo frozen or whatever decided, hey, let me go to the cryo museum and check my kid to make sure, his vitals are good. No one ever thought of that. They just willingly just give their kids up and be like, yes, I trust you.
They were saying that the people who were most doing this were lower class.
Something else I thought about was like Children of Men. It's kind of like the inverse of that.
Yeah, Children of Men was able to, and this is because Father Karan is a superior storyteller.
He's a genius.
There's a filmmaker and there's the storytellers. So you could be a bad filmmaker, but be an excellent storyteller and make a good film.
Yeah, you and I've been discussing that forever and shit.
And I think we all agree, and I think we're all on point with that. And I've heard our arguments. So this is a perfect example of where the storytelling isn't meeting the complete expectation there. Like Children of Men told the story of that world. Like the way people were, they were just despondent. There were no kids. Like, so they didn't feel they had any future. So they were just, I know you watched it, Barry, a couple times. So you just felt it, like this despair. It's like,
it's one of my greatest films that I've ever watched.
Dude gets up in the morning. He's like, why am I awake? Like, and you just walk outside. This is bullshit. You got Clive Owen just kind of walking through life and he just, whatever. You feel it in this. And then this baby comes along. This woman is pregnant. What the heck? There's an energy. There's a charge in that. This is kind of you're right. It's kind of the inverse, but they didn't play on that. They kind of didn't play on that this world was choking to death. It kind of toyed with it. And you saw little bits and scenes of it, but it got sidelined for the action elements. There was more than enough action in it to satisfy that, but they should have gone with one route or another. They shouldn't have tried to make some hybrid dramatic action movie. All right, they should have just gone straight for the drama and told the story as it was.
And even though this doesn't fit, I started thinking about the Adjustment Bureau. I think I just come away with the same feeling that it has promise.
Right, kind of didn't feel it.
The way the movie looks, for some reason, also reminds me of Deus Ex.
You got that game on your mind.
It kind of does, man. A little bit. Just a brighter version. And then also like the checkpoints and all that shit too. But anyway, all right.
Let's get the scores. Keith, what would you give What Happened on Monday?
Noomi Rapace's performance bumps it by 2 points, so I'll give it a 6.5.
All right.
Her performance is very good.
All right, Jay.
I agree with Keith. Her performance makes the movie. I enjoyed the movie. I would give it a 7. And the reason why I give it a 7 is because I think the acting, the performance made it better than what the movie actually is. She was showing off. I mean, let's keep it real. The movie was really good for her performance alone. So I would give this movie a 7.
All right. I'm going to give this a 5.5. The premise is okay. It's shot well. It's an interesting twist. It starts to fall apart at the end when it needs to pick up and everything needs to make sense. The way that it does that, I'm not sure if I like it. The movie has a lot of potential. Another issue I had is that there's too much staging with guns and police officers. It's almost in every major scene that here comes somebody chasing somebody down. But I would just say I'm positive on the movie, but it could have been a lot better. So we'll just end it on that. That's the Beast Game Podcast. You can find more of our podcasts at beastgame.com, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.